So, today I want to talk about building ethical AI using free software principle. But first, have you ever thought that every algorithm carries a worldview? And basically the real question is whose worldview will shape our collective future? But let's start with a number. 94% of foundational models are controlled by just 5 tech companies. When we talk about AI ethics, we are not talking about abstract philosophy. We are asking 3 very concrete questions. The first one is who decides which problem deserves solving? Who has the power to say this matters and this doesn't? And the second question that an AI ethicist need to keep in mind is who decides which problem deserves solving. Which voice, which data, which perspective are considered in the world of AI authoritative. And the first is which trade-off we are willing to accept. Because when we're using AI or any other technologies, we sacrifice basically a bit of privacy for convenience. And who decided that was an acceptable trade-off? But we have 3 main problems because the ethics have become a theater. And the 3 main problems involve, first of all, the ethics washing, that basically is a superficial ethical framework that only serve for legitimate business as usual. And basically you publish a document on ethical principle, and you put few philosophers in a room, and the company continue their work exactly as before. And this is called ethical washing. The second problem, as you know, if you are a technician, is the black box. Because when you use AI, you see the inputs. You are basically the inputs of AI with your prompt. But what happens inside? It's almost a trade secret. And you can't look, you can't verify. And you have basically just to trust. And the third problem is the technical gatekeeping. Is basically, when we're talking about AI, we have a complex jargon. And this complex jargon exclude the very ability and the majority of community that are the most affected of these systems. And basically, if you don't speak Python, you don't have a PhD, stay quiet, and you don't have space to understand. And yeah, basically with this setup, with this framework, we are debugging symptoms, but the entire architecture, it's fundamentally broken. But there's a good news, because we don't need to do everything from scratch. The free software movement already gave us a blueprint. As Stallman said, free software is a matter of liberty, not price. So, as you know, the free software philosophy gives us 4 freedom that basically consists in run the programs as you wish, study how it will work, redistribute copies, and modify and improve it. But for AI, we need 4 additional freedom. And this 4 freedom consists in understand the training data, audit bias and harm, government deployment context, and also the capacity and the space to contest automated decision. So basically, free software gave us the source code. Ethical AI must also give us the data, the governance, and the control on this very powerful technology. But watch out, we are witnessing a greenwashing operation, or rather open washing in the jargon. And look at what's happened today. We have the open source. Basically, the code is readable, but the training data, it's the majority property. We have open access. You can access the paper, but after 12 months behind a paywall. And we also have the concept of open weights. You can download the model, but zero documentation on how it was trained, on what data, and what exclusions. So basically, the true ethical openness means three things together. First of all, transparency, governance, and community control that you, if you support, and you are because of that, the open source community, it's basically founded on community control. Because if we don't have these elements, it's like you giving a recipe, but you can access to the ingredients or challenge the chef's choices. So basically, what's the point? There's a concrete, interesting experiment that it's called Big Science Bloom, but probably you already know. And probably it's the most interesting alternative to the Big Four, Big Five project that we use basically every day. But what's the difference between Big Science Bloom and the other project that you already know, probably? First of all, the governance. More than 1,000 researchers, over 70 countries, voted on the key decision. Not a CEO, not a restricted board, democratic voting on the fundamental technical questions. The second is the data transparency, complete documentation on the training corpus and consent processes. You know exactly what's inside and why. Then we have responsible AI license. So we have explicit restriction on harmful users, like surveillance, disinformation, weaponization. It's not to do whatever you want. It's like, here are the ethical boundaries, and inside of that, you can do whatever you want. Then we have multilingual by design, 46 language, not just English. And this is basically a political choices against the linguistic imperialism. And the result is a 176 billion parameter model built collaboratively, not by a corporate diktat. But let's push further. I have 3 provocations for you to imagine a truly different AI. The first one is, what if systems run locally by default? So we don't have cloud surveillance. We have a community-owned infrastructure. And in this system, this first provocation, the privacy is preserved by design. The second provocation is, what if data contributors receive royalty on their data? So basically, your photo train stable diffusion. But did they pay you? And should they? This is an important question when we contribute indirectly with data to AI model. And the third provocation regarding what if the affected communities are involved directly in the decision. So we don't have stakeholders, not just academics. The people who live are actually shaped by this system. So it's important to involve all the people, all the community that use this kind of systems. And these, I think that aren't fantasies. They are designing choices we are not making, because basically technology isn't neutral. It's like politics crystallizing code, I would say. So, the dominant discourse in AI ethics has a fundamental problem because we are asking individual developer to be ethical inside an unethical infrastructure, basically. Because when you ask to be responsible when the deadline is impossible, that's a contradiction. Or also think about impact when the boundary models is extractive. Or do the right thing where your boss tell otherwise. So this approach doesn't work. So the alternative is to build community government infrastructure with ethics embedded in every level, the governance, architecture, data set, licenses, development culture. Free software principle offer a blueprint, technology created by and for the community, not by corporations. So we have what we can do concretely. First of all, support community AI project like Hugging Face. So try to contribute to Hugging Face community spaces. Join Ethereal AI Big Science Working Group. The second point is the demand transparency where you work. Support digital rights organization like EFF, Algorithm Watch, and Access Now. And third, probably the most important, is join the fight about policy. So support digital rights organization and bring affected communities into tech policy discussion. And I think that these aren't symbolic actions. They are concrete way to shift power. So here we have 3 takeaways, something to take home from my little speech. First of all, that ethics must be structural, not cosmetics. Embedded from day one, not added at the end with an audit. And in this, free software principle are necessary, but not sufficient. Because we need a governance model for the AI era. And free build ethical AI is basically a political project. Every technical choice reflect and reinforce power relationship. So the question isn't whatever we embedded value in AI. It's whose value are we embedding? So thank you for your attention. This is my mail if you want to continue the conversation. And yeah, let's build AI that distribute power instead of concentrating it. Thank you.